So my buddy got his Sky Shadow, Reptile S800 Sky Shadow in the other day. He got the kit. I get some requests from people about trying to do a build video, so we're trying to do everything from pretty much pulling out of the box. I did already kind of open this up a little bit, and he had other stuff shipped in here, so it's been open. But got the Reptile S800. We're going to go ahead and use the Maytech F411 wing flight controller. We'll go through all the setup on that, and the FR Sky RXSR. I've actually gotten over 2¼ miles distance on just this little tiny receiver. A lot of guys use on quads. See, it's a real little receiver, but you can get S-port out of it and everything, and it works great. So we're going to use that. So we'll go through wiring all that up, wiring up servos and everything. In the box, it's normal, the kit. So you got your fuselage. We actually are going to chuck this out. My buddy likes purple, so he printed out a canopy already. So we'll pull the magnets out of the other one and go with that. That way, fit it 4S easily. I'm running Li-ion batteries, 4S Li-ion batteries in mine even. It's the same canopy, I just have it black, and it works great. So got that made up. You got your winglets, bag of goodies, the little nose piece, which we're not going to use, each wing, the little pieces for filling in the spar areas. The wrong one, but for each wing for those, so we got those guys. Go through all that, cutting and gluing those, and our spars. So we got all that, and then in a little baggie. Got your little XT60. We'll probably use that with our flight controller. Some of your hardware. I think these are for the motor mount. On this, the kit doesn't come with any of that stuff, but I actually happen to already have, and I'm giving him one of the original S800. The motor mounts, it pops the motor out a little bit. It makes it a little quieter and run a little better. Also helps with pull your center of gravity back, so if you run a bigger battery or camera up front. And then we're going to run just this little 30 amp quad ESC with no back on it. So we'll be using that. Some of the screws, I believe these are for the little covers on the bottom of the wing and the ESC cover. Control horns and push rods. I think what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to build it with these push rods. They're very flexy when it really comes down to it. I think we'll build it up with the stock Elevons, fly it a little bit, do a maiden, show you, and then go ahead and go through the process of actually upgrading to balsa Elevons. So for now we'll use these. We'll beef them up. I've got the ones on my with balsa, and they've got much stronger. They're a little better. So we'll probably end up doing that. Your little battery tray, kind of just to make that styrofoam a little stronger under there. ESC cover. Buddy's going to end up printing a Thingiverse. There's a whole lot of good stuff for this. The ESC cover. So I'm going to show mine again. You got this ESC cover with a big old scoop. This is printed in TPU. It's got outlets. It's held up really nice. Plenty of room in there. More than enough room for the ESC we're running. So that'll be fine. The motor mount, we'll glue these together. Put the carbon fiber one on there. These are pieces for the camera on the front. We're not going to use those. Got the little air vents for the top. We're not going to use those. So that stuff's all going to get thrown to the side. And then the covers for the bottoms of the wings for our receiver and VTX. So, yeah, so we'll go ahead and go through all. I'm going to try and go through everything from cutting off the extra foam, prepping the surfaces to glue, what glue I use. Here in the States, use this E6000. You can get it at Walmart, Home Depot, Lowe's, Hobby Lobby, pretty much anywhere. Amazon. Gives you a decent amount of working time and holds great. Overseas, I know a lot of guys like to use UHU POR or UHU POR. We can't really get it very easily in the States, so don't have it, don't use it. Keep checking in on the channel. Please like, subscribe, ask questions. If you got anything you'd like to see in the build as I'm going through this process, leave comments. This Facebook group, the S800 Facebook group, leave comments on there, and I'll try and answer everything I can, or if I need to go back and make a wrap-up video. There are a lot of videos about the S800, so I probably won't catch everything. I might reference other people's videos if there's something I get past and somebody else already did it, but it's a great little wing. I'm actually probably going to end up with another one for myself, but just wanted to try and share some of what I found when building my first one and then building the second one for my friend, and get it shared with everybody so everybody can enjoy the fun. So one tip one little trick I learned from somebody else, scalpels are great for the craft, especially these planes. They're pretty cheap. You get a little dispenser, you don't have to worry about your blades. Get a box of 100 blades, just pop a new one out, and you're ready to go. So what we're going to do is all these extra foam, this is from when they mold the EPO foam, or EPP foam. You just have these extra chunks on here. This guy, this piece, this middle piece. These are the two pieces we want to keep. Same here. Fly there. This piece on the wing fins, and again on this guy. So just using the craft knife, and of course always be careful. Just going to slice along there. Comes right off. Just want to get as much of that off as you can. Always cut away from yourself with these things. These knives are really, really sharp. It's real easy to get a cut. Fortunately, they're usually real clean cuts, and they heal pretty quick, but still never any fun. So if you can, use your bench, or especially if you got a cutting mat like this. Try and get those cut off as straight as you can. And cut off. Go on that. This guy looks pretty good. These spar covers. These go on the wings to fill the bottom of the wing where the spar goes in. So they'll go in there like that. Glue them in there. That's for the other wing, but yeah. They are side to side. You can tell when you put it in there. If you put it in the wrong one, see obviously that corner's sticking up, and that's flat. Whereas if I put it in the correct one, and even if I put it in the correct one the wrong way, put the correct one the correct way, it sits pretty flush. And then you got your tunnel that the spar goes in there. When we glue these on, you want to make sure you don't get glue in the actual tunnel where the spar is going to slide in. Unless you're gluing your spar in there, it's up to you. Some people actually do make their wing where they can take the wings off the fuselage. I don't really see a need for it with this small of a wing, but if you do that, you definitely don't want any glue in that channel when you put that together. Cut this other wing off. Sorry, I'm not going to plan on demonstrating how to slice your finger. So this last one here. So you can keep these bits of foam if you really want, for smearing glue and things. Once you get glue in there, if you want to smear it in the gaps or putting the spar on, it's completely up to you. It's not really needed or anything. You can just throw them away if you want. That's what I'm doing with this one. So I got our two wings. These bar pieces, so I'm going to clean up a little bit. Just clean up whatever you need to. Make sure everything goes together before you try and glue it together. Inside to the outside. See here, this has a little bit of stuff on the edge. Get that stuff off there. Just gonna clean it up a little bit before you glue it together. So that was good. Okay, like I said, you want to test fit everything before you glue it. Just make sure you have everything and everything fits, because once you start gluing, you're on a bit of a time scale to try and get stuff done before your glue cures. So that one looks pretty good. Finally, this little tab on the center fuselage. Okay, so that was a pretty easy step, but again, you want to make sure you get all those off. If you are using the OE canopy, this one on here, it's a pain in the butt. I'm not using it, so I'm not going to demonstrate it, but shaving that off will help you be able to fit a bigger battery in there. Like I said earlier, we're going to go with an aftermarket canopy, so I'll just be pulling the magnets out of this to use in the 3D printed canopy, but you can shave that one off also. So kind of has all our parts here. We got our wings with their spar fillers, fuselage thick cleaned up, cut off, ready to go, and our winglets. I'm setting the winglets aside for now. I always do the winglets last, because whenever you're building these, once you get all this stuff glued together, you need to flip it over and work on the bottom. It's a lot easier to do it without the winglets on. Once you have the winglets, you just want to be more careful with not breaking those or anything, so I just wait till the end. Get this glued together, run all your wiring and everything, and then throw your winglets on, glue them on last before you go to maiden. So, yeah, so we got all those pieces ready to go, so we'll start working on cleaning some surfaces to get things glued together. Okay, so before we start gluing, we got to prep our parts. The foam, notice the shiny bit on the foam. They put a release agent in the molds when they mold the foam for these. So you need to get that mold release off these before we try and glue them together. They'll glue together if you don't. I've done it on my AR wing. I forgot to do that, and it'll work, but you're just going to get a much better bind if you clean up these surfaces a little bit and take that off. So we'll do that on both sides of the fuselage, on both the wings, and then when it comes later, we'll do the wing tips and our tips, or the bottom of our winglets before we put them on. For today, we're just going to concentrate on the wing joining parts. So I'm just going to use 400 grit sandpaper and just kind of rough it up a little bit. I just want to remove some of that, and you'll see the foam will dull up a little bit. Might be a little hard to see in this light, but just taking off that top, nothing crazy. Pop out these spar pieces. It's good to try and get in there and get those too. I'm really concentrating on the side walls, sides of my finger running on the walls, because that's where I'm going to concentrate on gluing, not down in the actual channel as much. You don't want to get that spar. You want to be able to put the spar in there once you get it done. So just doing the sides. It's just an extra precaution. Try and make sure we get everything bond together. Okay, so we got these parts ready. I'm going to put the spar pieces up to the side for a second. We'll actually grab our spars. We get this whole little rubber band together kit. So in here you've got your long spar. It's going to go through the back of the fuselage. You get your short spar that goes through the front. And then each wing has a long spar that goes through the wing, and we'll put glue in here and glue this in. And then another one that goes in the aileron, or the elevon, sorry. If you're going to just go to balsa elevons, you're not going to worry about this. Don't even worry about gluing it, because save your carbon fiber for something else. They're decent little reinforcements. So you can do those channels too if you can get your sandpaper down in there. I'm not going to worry about it because I'm going to glue them in there, and then eventually this is going to get laminated, so they'll be held in there really well. So, but you want to make sure that you put your spars in before you do. Again, we're going to fit everything, make sure it's all going to go together before we glue it. As you can see there, if I would have glued the spar in, I would have had a little bit of an issue because it's not centered. So there, let that fit. And this will actually hold pretty well. These just dry fitted in. So this one has a little bit of a gap here, not here, so I'm going to try flipping that. Now it's much better. So when we put that together, we're going to take that out, put glue in there, and make sure to kind of keep it oriented the right way. These are a little bit easier because the back side is fat and the front side is a little narrower. So it's a little more obvious which way it goes. So, okay, so we know everything now. It's fitting together pretty well. We got our tabs off, we're sanded up, we got our spars. We'll hold off on putting these in until we get it all glued together. Again, I'm going to use this E6000 glue, clear and transparent. I believe they say you have about a 5-minute working time. Maybe it's longer, 30 minutes, I don't know, 10 minutes, something like that. But you got plenty of time to at least, don't glue up both sides. Just glue the area you're working on. We'll do the covers first, let them go, then we'll come back and we'll do one wing, wait till it's all together. We won't wait till it cures. You want to let it cure overnight. Make sure you're in a ventilated area. This stuff has this all caution, warning, flammable, cancer, all that fun. Just have a fan blowing. Do it in a garage. Don't do it in a small room with no ventilation. Be smart. And then let it dry somewhere too, in your garage or somewhere where you've got plenty of airflow, so it's not just building up fumes and gonna make you sick. So the other thing we're gonna go ahead and work on getting together is the motor mount. The motor mount comes with this little tab that you actually glue together, so it has a fin that sticks into the foam. That helps give a better grip. The other thing is you want to put this, your carbon fiber plate has, if you look at the back, it allows you to kind of countersink your screws in there. So you're going to want to put the screws and everything on this before you glue the motor pod to the frame. So the good thing is with the one we're going to use, I'll just attach these standoffs to it. So they'll be screwed on before we glue it, but I won't have the motor on because I can screw them on later. So again, I'll show you when we get to that. Just need to find my CA. I'm going to CA the wooden tabs together, and then we'll glue this up and we'll go from there. Okay, so I found my CA. Use foam safe. It's not going to really matter. Thin is what you want to use, so you got a little time to let it soak down into the wood, and then we'll hit it with activator. So I'm actually going to put them together. They have these, if you can see, they kind of stick out a little bit, and that'll help actually grip the carbon fiber plate once we put it on there and keep it centered. We got that on there. I'm just going to put a little glue. Oops. A lot of glue. Then it'll run down into the cracks, so also get all over your fingers. Give it a second to seep into everywhere. We're going to go ahead and just hit it with some activator, and we're good to go. I think for the carbon fiber plate, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put some E6000 on the wood, and then I'm going to clamp them together and let them sit for a while, so that way we know it's good and strong hold on there. So we'll go ahead, get this stuff out of the way. So that's E6000. So you have a little working time with E6000, so it's not as big of a rush as with like a super glue. The UHU POR is a contact, and I believe that's, if you put it on your two, you put it on your one piece, put them together, pull them apart while the stuff is still wet, and let them dry on both pieces a little bit, and then you put those two pieces together. As pretty much as soon as they touch, they're going to be bonded together. So you want to make sure that when you do that, you've got it set up where you want. That's another reason I don't necessarily like it. And I like the E9000 or E6000 is you do have some working time. So I'm just going to kind of spread this around a little bit. Going to have a lot of squeeze out, but that'll be fine. So like that. And put our plate on here. Run over. Sorry, I got my woodworking stuff. Just grab some clamps. I'm going to clamp up. Hopefully my squeeze out's not too bad. I don't have clamps glued to my motor mount, but that's motor mount ready to go. We're going to let that cure. I'll probably let that go overnight, so that way I know I have a good cure on it, a good bond. So we'll just set that off to the side. We can always glue that in whenever. Okay, so next up we're going to go ahead and pull the fuselage off and set it back here. And we're going to do these 4 pieces for the spar covers. So pull them out. Like I said, these are a little bit harder to tell, so I'm going to keep that in orientation the way it's going to go. I'm actually going to move that out of camera and push everything back a little bit so it's more centered. Okay, so all I'm going to do is take my E6000. I'm using just a handle from a swab or something to help spread it. Like I said, I'm just going to try and keep it on the walls more. Be careful with these if you haven't used this type of glue container, I guess you could call it. If you squeeze too hard, you might only get a little bit coming out when you're doing it, but you lay it on your bench and it's going to continue to squeeze out. So only squeeze what you need to, and if you squeeze too much and it's coming out, sometimes you can kind of squeeze the tube to get it to pull back in on itself. So you can do that if you need. And I'm just going to spread it out a little bit here. So we've got a few minutes working time, so it's not a huge rush. Take your time, get it on there nice and even. Make sure you got some everywhere. Do a little bit on the end. Sorry, I keep not used to building with a camera, so try and remember to keep this where you can see. Just gonna sit this guy here. We'll go ahead and just put these pieces in. And I've already cleaned these up with sandpaper. Pretty good, not too much squeeze out even. This little bit that's here I think is actually from when I was brushing it around, so let's scrape that off a little bit. That one's done. Going over to the next one. So you can see there it already without me even squeezing it, it's coming out a little bit. So that's what I was talking about. You gotta just watch it. Can be a bit of a pain to clean up. It's not too bad. And it's not like super glue where you're going to get it stuck to your fingers and spend hours trying to get it off. Denatured alcohol in the US or mentholated spirits in the UK, same thing. It'll help to release the glue if you need. It's still a little harder with this versus like hot glue. That'll pop right off, but it'll work with this if once you glue your servos in and things. Which I'm going to use hot glue to do the servos because if it is a little easier if I need to get it out. But you can use that to break the bond with these glues if need be. So there we got that one again. Set that so it's not laying on my bench. Pop this in there again. Try to get a little different angle. Push that piece in there. And this way. So you should have a nice flush surface. And your pieces are in there. It's nice and easy. So for those pieces, that's all I do. I'm not too, they'll hold themselves in there. Next up, when we go to the fuselage, tip I got from another, sorry, work phone going off there. Little tip I got from another channel, Rag the Nuts Off Matt, who got me onto the iNav, and probably wouldn't have an S800 if it wasn't for him and his videos, so I'll give him a shout out. Thanks, Matt. Rag the Nuts Off, check him out. Pins. This one has glue on it, so you can see. Just sewing pins. I went to the local sewing store. He said about, I guess in the UK you can get them at the dollar stores or pounds, whatever you call them, little general stores for $1. So I paid a couple dollars. Got like 100 or something. I don't know. But you can use these pins, and with this foam, it's great because you can show without the glue. Just feed these spars in there, and once you glue it together. Because even if you look right now, if you can see on the camera, there's this is not aligned. So I can hold it with my hand, align it, and then push a pin through. And that'll help hold it while the glue dries. So once I glue it up, we'll put a few pins in along, and then if you alternate the angles of the pins, it also makes like a stitching and holds it. So we'll do that on the top and bottom a little bit. Not too many, just a few. Maybe 4 on the top, 4 on the bottom. Maybe 1 or 2 more. Just to help hold it together. Works great. And then once you're done, the metal just slides right out of the glue for the most part. So again, we did those other panels, so we want to just make sure still that we're good on everything going together. We've got no gap here, no gap here, so that means our spars are centered. We're not. If you have the spar to one side, as you saw earlier in the other video, earlier in the video, the spar was too much to one side, so there was a gap. So you just want to make sure that everything's centered up, good to go. And I'm just going to pull them. I'm not even going to pull them all the way apart. I'm just going to pull them out a little bit. Flip it over. Make sure while you're doing this, if you don't wait, it wouldn't be a bad idea to wait overnight. Let these cure, or even a couple hours. But as you're going, we just want to make sure we're not pulling them up, because if I pull on the fuselage and push on the wing right now, it's going to pop these right out since the glue isn't cured yet. So we don't want to do that, obviously. So just keep an eye on that. Be mindful of the fact that they're not glued if you're doing it like I am, going right through. So we're going to put, again, just glue on here. I try to avoid the spars. It's not going to hurt. It might help. I don't know. I just don't like getting glued too much of everywhere. Well, that might not look like that. So again, as I said, you can kind of squeeze the tube at a different angle and pull some of the glue back in. Still going to put a cap on that. And again, I'm just going to take my little stick here, and especially some of that started to some gravity sink to the bottom as I laid it down. And I'm trying to get this, I don't know, it's going to be hard to get a good angle from the camera. Try and get a good shot of just spreading this out. A good even application. Like I said, this is not a contact cement, so you don't have to do this to either side and then put them together. You only need to do it to the one side. And then we'll push them together and they'll bond together. So now that I've got that spread, let me get a little bit more on the bottom side of this. Okay, so now we got that. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to push that in. And again, there's a little bit of a gap here, so either way we're going to use these pins, like I was saying before. The one thing you want to watch, make sure if you push them in the center section where the fuselage is, the pins are longer. If you push it from outside inboard, the pins are going to stick out. Don't pick the plane up by and hurt yourself. I'm going to push them outboard inward, or inboard to outboard. Also watch out if your finger's on the other side. Just keep where your fingers are, where the pins are and foam is, in mind at all times. Don't want to hurt yourself trying to build a fun plane. Here again, this is off a little bit of alignment, so this is really going to be helpful. I'm going to push that up a little bit and stick this pin in there. I'm going to do another one right here. So you can see that glue's pushed out a little bit. We'll take care of that in a second. Just want to get this pin here. I am going to put a pin from the outside to inside. Like I said, if you crisscross them, it'll help. I'm just not going to push it through all the way. So here, note the spar. I just try to push a pin into the spar. That's not going to work. So if you hit something, stop and figure out why. There's not much in there, so there's a reason you're hitting something. Fortunately on this one, the tail end is aligned pretty well, so I didn't have to worry about position it before putting pins in. On this S800 is a little easier to go from outside to inside due to the shape of the wing, but you do want to try and get some going the other way just to help hold. I'm still going to do this one this way. So that kind of how I do that. Here you can see, I said not to do it. Right there, that pin. This pin, got to remember, like I said, think about where you're at. Fortunately, didn't have my hand in there, but when you're pushing those pins through, they're going to come through if they're in this thin spot. So just be careful. I said earlier I wasn't going to use these chunks of the spare foam, but I lied. I'm going to do it. This is exactly what I was saying when I talked about that. I just take it and wipe up the excess glue. It's squeezed out. It's good to have a little squeeze out. It means you know you got enough in there. You don't want it necessarily. It won't hurt. It's just not going to look as good. In this channel, though, you do want to make sure you get it cleaned out. I'm going to use the clean side of this. Run it through there. It's where our servo and VTX or receiver wires are going to go through those channels. So you want to make sure you can pass wires through there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do the other side, but I'll probably put this in fast forward. So. Okay, so we got that all pinned up, good to go. We'll grab another piece of foam here real quick. There's not too much to squeeze out on this one, so it should be pretty quick. Cool. So we're good to go. Last thing to glue, we're going to go ahead and run a bead down these where the wing spars go. Yeah, so you don't want to stop squeezing because it's going to keep coming out. Always keep your cap close by. So I'm going to take another one of these little wooden sticks and just kind of run it down through here, because some spots sometimes when you're squeezing it's not necessarily coming out. So good spread on that one. This I can see has a bunch of spots. Sorry, trying to keep my head out of there. Sad. Not used to building with the camera going. So then I'm just going to take this and set these in place. I'm not pushing these in just yet. And what I'm going to do is use another one of these little wooden sticks and just use that to push them in. The only reason I'm doing this is to stop from getting any squeeze out on my fingers. Again, this is where I don't like putting the fins on the end until after, because right now you won't be able to apply pressure the way I kind of am, so I just hold off. I got a little squeeze out, so just use that to help hold it in there. Come back to the hold on. So here with the Elevon, I'm actually having a little bit of trouble getting this because it's foam and the spar is straight and the foam's not. What I'm going to do, same thing with the pins, except you use it to actually hold that spar down in there. Make an X over it. Again, remember this Elevon is not thick. Don't push these very far in. Stab yourself in the finger. Try and keep the angle shallow so that'll help get you a little bit of bite into the foam. Okay, so the pins are X'd up, helping to hold that in there. You can kind of see. So we'll go ahead and do that on this other side too. So I actually decided to come back in and put some pins to hold the main spar also with a forward spar. I'm not going to do quite as many because this is not nearly as flimsy in where it's held in, but just something to make sure it doesn't migrate out of that glue while it's cured. Yeah, see here, start stuff. Oh, yeah. E6000 how to do that. Okay, so I think we're about all good to go there. Got everything looking like a scissor or pinhead or whatever, and glue's all in there. I think the one thing I am going to do is I'll go ahead and, this is sat clamp for a good bit. I'm going to go ahead and put some E6000 and we'll glue it in place also. Like I said though, before I go and do something dumb, I'm going to take my motor mount, and I only need, normally you would, at this point you'd want to actually screw your motor, got another motor here somewhere, so you would want to take your motor and put it on there and put the screws through the 4 inner holes. Here, 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 and here, right to your motor, but because we're using the standoff, we're going to use the outer holes. So I'm going to take the screw, put it through there, and I'll put this standoff on there. So we'll put all 4 of those. And I'm actually going to use a little Loctite just to make sure, since these are the ones that are going to be behind the glue. I don't want these coming loose. Just a little blue Loctite on there. Dogs barking out in the backyard. Wishing they were in here playing, I guess. You could hear that howling. It's my bigger dog. She doesn't normally bark much, so not sure what she's barking at or howling at. Oh, I hear another dog. You're talking to a dog through the woods. You could actually do this with any, you don't have to have the S800 standoff set. If you just have any standoffs, and really the length, further back you get, the further it gets from the fuselage, out of the turbulence, it should actually keep it quieter. But if you got any, screw them on before, and what that'll do is then later when we go and put the motor on, we just pop it right on there, screw it in, good to go. Also makes it a little easier for changing the motor out because you're not glued to the frame. So we got that, put the Loctite away, driver away, and again we're gonna, one thing we didn't do, I did not earlier, scuff this up. So just like with the wings and everything. Okay, you're not gonna get in there, whatever. If you really want to spend time, go for it, but it'll be good. Put a little glue in here. Squeeze a little bit down in between. And just match up the shape. That goes in there. You can see we got a little squeeze out just like that. So there we go. Okay, so now we've got everything we need glued up. So we're going to let that sit overnight. Probably clean up some of these little spots where there's a little squeeze out. But otherwise we're going to let that go overnight. And we'll carry on with the next part later.